Have you ever wondered, when looking up at the stars, if there was something billions of miles away, looking up at its own stars and seeing yours? What sorts of wonderful and odd creatures could be hidden across the universe? In this series of videos, I will share with you my personal alien speculative biology project, Aline 24K, going through each radiation and the biology behind them, period by period. Where do I start? Why not start at the beginning? Okay, no, that's too far. Okay, yeah, that's better. So, the star is a little bigger, which makes the planet a lot warmer than Earth, and the year lasts almost 400 days. The planet has a little less gravity, the days are a little shorter, and the seasonal variation is quite a bit more variable. Atmosphere, a little less nitrogen, a bit more oxygen, which will cause some problems later on. The ground has a lot of copper, which is more marine, cobalt, which is found along the coasts, at least at this time, and iron, which is more inland. 14 or 15 geological periods, but we'll get back to that once the humans get here. There are two pretty much identical moons which orbit mostly on opposite sides of the planet, although one is slightly faster, so sometimes it passes the other. Now, let's start with the life. The earliest life is believed to have started around here, in or around hydrothermal vents in trenches. The earliest alien organism is believed to have looked something like this, having cilia used in moving, nucleoids, ribosomes, and potentially chloroplasts, due to the fact that all clades of unicellular organisms have them, but the multicellular animal cells don't. These early organisms most likely had the ability to decide when they hit sexual maturity, allowing them to reproduce at the most optimal moment possible. The most basal clade of organisms is most likely the erythrophytes, which are bacteria-like organisms with a primitive eye used to detect danger, expelling glowing, sticky mucus when threatened. Next, there's the cyanophytes, having evolved an actual nucleus and being basically blue amoebas that can swim like jellyfish. Then there's the xenophytes, which are two clades of algae-like organisms with huge mitochondria, which allows them to eat pretty much anything. Now to the Xenozoa clade, starting with the unicellular clade, the pyriciforms. These guys use a singular large black chloroplast to do their photosynthesis, and they swim using little cilia. But there's one clade of pyriciforms that figured out how to armor itself. The cuprozoans are a clade of pyriciform xenozoan that will use copper to make an armor within its cell membrane, being able to eat rust as an extra way of survival. These goobers do tend to prefer shallower waters, growing mostly at the bottom, sifting the sands for copper particles. Let's move to the other branch of Xenozoa, the multicellular ones. So, here's the possible earliest body plan for multicellular organisms. Meet Phil. Phil is short for phylogenetic history in lean. Remove the A from Aline. Phil has a mouth that leads into a body cavity and four appendages that work similarly to legs and gills, which are all traits that all of the multicellular clades on Aline will maintain and modify. One of these clades will flip on their backs and split their appendages into 6, with each quadrant having 2 gills and 4 feeding tentacles, used to grab food and pass it to the mouth, which has 8 teeth-like structures made of cobalt and various minerals that serve to protect the inside of the body cavity and process larger food items. Unlike the previous animals, another clade of multicellular organisms left the sea bottom and took to the open waters, developing a through gut and flat fin-like gills, which they use to propel themselves. These soft-bodied organisms will reproduce on hard surfaces, most often rocks in shallow waters, where the female will start by laying clusters of sticky eggs and the males will fertilize them. The other branch of multicellular organisms evolved to repeat its body plan through segmentation, and the most basal clade of this branch adapted extremely quickly to fill the niche of sessile filter feeders. These strange organisms use their many arms to gather small food particles using lots of small, hair-like structures. Bringing its arms to its mouth, it goes down the middle of its body and picking out the food with cilia lining the sides. This clade was the earliest to develop complex eyes, which it uses to detect danger, where it will then roll up into an armored ball when threatened. The other clades of the segmented branch remained mobile and developed a through gut. One family stayed at the bottom, turning its gill appendages into many hydraulic legs, using blood to inflate and deflate, similarly to spiders and echinoderms, and developed gill pads on their dorsal surface to breathe. This clade of organisms uses various mineralized structures in their mouth to eat most organic matter they can find. Similarly to their bilaterally symmetrical sister clade, these radially symmetrical organisms have hydraulic feet, teeth plates, gill pads, nervous systems attached to the digestive tract, and an anus on the dorsal surface. So yeah, think round version of the Prosopidose of aliens. Our last clade of Alenian animals has taken to open waters, using small fins along its sides and breathing using pleopod-like gills. These fins are believed to be heavily modified extensions of the flesh, not being adjacent to the gill appendages of Phil. The skin of this clade is covered in tiny sensitive setae used to detect prey or danger in low-light environments, where it can be found feeding on small organic particles or organisms via ram feeding, swimming into the clouds of food. In the next video, we'll cover the vermiferous, the first period of complex multicellular organisms, and the first period of the Primevitazoic. We'll see the two main ecosystems and how our base 12 organisms change and adapt to each other.